Move on to North Africa. Egypt has increased electricity prices as authorities there try to repair the public finances by eliminating power subsidies altogether by 2018. Now, the latest hikes are fairly broad. They range anywhere from about a quarter all the way to 40%, depending on how much power you consume. And they apply retroactively, effective from July this year. Egypt's government is in talks with the International Monetary Fund to secure a $12 billion three-year loan. It's trying desperately to cut its budget deficit through a number of reforms, and that includes, on one hand, raising taxes and at the same time gradually eliminating subsidies. Now, in recent years, the overconsumption of relatively cheap electricity has exacerbated energy shortages, and that in turn has led to frequent power cuts in the country. Let's get the latest details on what's going on up north. Adel Makrouhi is live in Cairo right now. He's got more details on this story. Adel, these prices were supposed to have come into effect a year ago. What caused the delay?
Well, basically, it seems that the government was trying to, first of all, politically try to avoid any clash or any frustrated citizens that would revolt in a term that was just the first year for President El-Sisi in power, and therefore still quite unstable, or he has not maintained full authority over the country yet. Now, they think that they are more comfortable, and also, as you said, they are in negotiations with the IMF, the World Bank, for hopefully, this is what Egypt targets, is about $12 billion in loans, and therefore they have to show during these negotiations there are serious steps taken for the government to try to accept the terms and conditions of these loans. That's one side for it. The second one is basically throughout this year, the government has opened its doors, welcoming all household owners who were illegally constructed and not registered in the system to register their houses, and therefore it allowed throughout this year to enter tens of thousands of households into the electricity network, and therefore the government is avoiding a huge amount of the lost or illegally taken electricity from the network. So now they can input the bills from these units inside the network, and therefore it was a good timing for the government to take that step.
Indeed. Let's touch on the point you just mentioned. The last time Egypt revised its power prices was around 2004. So these revisions, even just from a purely financial perspective, are needed. But have they been accepted by the public and the business sector? Should we be expecting any legal challenges to these price hikes somewhere down the line?
Well, let me start first with the business sector, Rama. The increase that has recently happened in the business sector, we're talking about from 5 to 15% at the most in the tariffs for the electricity bills for the business. So it's not a very big jump. Already a big portion of the subsidies have been lifted from the business sector, and therefore a little bit of what remains, this is what the government is trying to lift. So nothing much is expected from the business sector in that regard. At least the increase is not horrific for them. But for the households, that's a big jump. We're talking from 10 to 40% increase in the tariffs for households. And this is a big jump for, if we're talking about low-income citizens, they are already burdened with the currency crisis in Egypt, and therefore the enormous inflation rates that they are feeling from the entire country, from food to products to even buying supplies for their kids' schools. Now, with this increase, this will increase the frustration for these people, but to what extent will they accept it or not, it's still not clear. We are that's the first trial month for the government to test this increase. Maybe in a week or two it will be more clear if households have decided to boycott paying their bills. That's still not clear.
Indeed. One last question for you, Adel. How much new generation capacity is going to be added to the Egyptian national grid between now and 2018, when these subsidies are supposed to be cut to nothing?
Well, basically, the Egyptian government has a huge national plan to increase and diversify its electricity resources. As you say, by 2018, there is expected that most of the subsidies will be lifted from the citizens in general, but at the same time, the expansions in the electricity network and diversification from renewable energy like the wind and solar energy should also help to tune down this increase for the citizens itself. Now, the government has a national plan to increase the network of its electricity production by about 20 to 30% within the coming 4 years. And that's a big number for Egypt. We've seen more or less quite a huge sustainability and stability in the electricity network since June 2015, and up till now the power cuts have almost disappeared, and therefore Egypt is trying to promote that in order to attract foreign investments, to give them a guarantee that their power will be constant and reliable.
Indeed, we'll leave it there for the time being. Thank you for that. That's Adel Makroui live in Cairo. Now let's